Hi, everybody. We're back for another episode. Only 9 more Sundays until the next Grand Prix to start the 2025 season. How is everybody doing with the break so far?
Question. I'm just kidding. No, it's slowly but surely. I have my little countdown on my thing right there, counting down the days. Cause
Good.
please, I
Yes.
can't do this anymore.
Yeah, literally.
She's right there.
For everybody watching on a non-YouTube video, we are being shown their lock screens that have their dear drivers on them. We're all missing our drivers. We're all missing F1. It's a hard life. It's been like 30 days, no? So far?
Yeah, I think within the 30 days, in the break that we've had, I've read 20 books. I read a lot. I read so much. I have so much free time now.
Oh.
So that's how I'm keeping my time occupied.
We love hearing about Cam's reading journey throughout the day. How are you doing, Sarah?
Well, Oscar's been MIA
As always.
since he went to a cricket match. So starving on that end. But I'm playing a lot of ice fishing simulator on Roblox, and that's so fire.
Ice fishing is crazy.
It's so much fun. I recommend, guys.
Next game
I'm keeping
night.
myself busy planning a wedding, so that's kind of what takes up a
Yes.
majority of my time.
We have a bride.
But yeah.
And when's your wedding
surviving.
again?
The day of the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yes. I forgot about
May
that.
25th.
You have to have pulled up while you're saying your vows, and just have a big screen in the back, and you're watching, and you see Oscar
literally.
overtake for the win, and you just forget your vows and just run to the screen. Woo, Oscar!
I'm side-eyeing the screen.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
it's okay because my fiance will be doing the same thing.
Yeah, and that's why you're getting
He loves
married.
F1
So
just as much as me.
yes, and that's why you're getting married. That's like a match made in heaven. That's perfect. Vows and just have a big screen in the back, and you're watching, and you see Oscar
literally.
overtake for the win, and you just forget your vows and just run to the screen. Woo, Oscar!
I'm side-eyeing the screen.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
it's okay because my fiance will be doing the same thing.
Yeah, and that's why you're getting
He loves
married.
F1 just
So
as much as me.
yes, and that's why you're getting married. That's like a match made in heaven. That's perfect. But we do have a little discussion today prepared. We're going to talk about General Motors. They're coming into F1 as the 11th team in 2026. So we have to get down our predictions before the main predictions come out, so we can have our, we need to stake our claim, and so whoever's right, we'll be back in 2026, and we'll be counting on our predictions. So Cam, do you want to start us off with a little info on them?
Yeah, so announced on December 5th, Graham Lawden will be the team principal, and they will be branded as GM Cadillac, General Motors in Cadillac. And they will enter in using the Ferrari's engines until 2028, which then General Motors will take over as the engine supplier. So that's kind of all the background information we have on them at the moment.
Yep. There's not too much. There's a little bit of information on there's a whole the Andretti thing was a whole thing. I believe that Michael Andretti is on the board of directors, but there's not much influence in that because there is the whole battle between Cadillac and Andretti on being the 11th team. But of course, Cadillac won that. But yeah, we wanted to kind of give our insight on who we think the drivers are going to be, how they're going to do, who their competitors are going to be, long term, short term, all that fun stuff. So, who wants to start off with their 2 driver predictions for the season?
I can start. My first one I put Yuki because, as we all know, over the break, he kind of got effed over by Red Bull. So I think he might, if he goes to Cadillac, he might be like, "Look, guys, I made it. Thank you." And then my second driver, I just put Danny Rick, just out of delusion. I know he said, I'm done, but
he's always been a comedian.
That's literally the funniest joke I've ever heard. Please take it back.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good prediction.
Out out of pure delusion, but I feel like Yuki, Danny Rick, it would be giving V carb, but maybe better. We'll see. I don't know.
Improved. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think they're gonna take Valtteri, and he has the experience. You know, he did really well with Mercedes. Obviously, Sauber wasn't the best, but he still has all that experience. Kind of veteran, knows it. He's reliable, provide great information, everything like that. And then I think they might take Felipe Drugovich as their second. He's been in the Aston Martin a couple of times behind the wheel racing. He's done really well. From the commentators have said, and a lot of people have said that he deserves a seat. So I think this would be a good place for him to get that experience and have a seat. So Andy's a rookie. He'll be maybe a little bit more reckless, but also careful.
Yeah.
Because he's had some experience in the car. So
That would be an exciting lineup. There's a lot of good lineups that could come out of this. Like, there's so many, like, contenders for this. I feel like it could be very interesting. Sarah, what are your predictions?
Okay. So the one that I think they might take Checo.
Oh, I've seen that. I've
And
seen that.
my thought process behind this is so many sponsors left Red Bull when he left. Where are they going?
That's true.
That's a good point.
And
That's a good point.
I feel like they'll be looking for someone who can bring in sponsors because they're a newer team. They might not have the funding. Like, I think that's something they're going to be looking for.
Good point.
So that's my like. But then I really, and this might be a little bit delusional. I really want Paul Aaron. I love him like so much. I was like, he needs to be in a seat right now. I know he's a reserve, but I need him in a seat.
Yes.
So I'm saying Checo and Paul. They're gonna be my lineup.
Did you see that thing? I saw a couple. I don't know. It was just on social media, so it might just be rumors. I heard that Jack Doohan possibly has a 5 race long contract.
Yes,
because,
I saw that.
Because there's heavy. Flavio, I think his name is the team principal of Alpine. I think that's his name. If I might be wrong, but the team principal of Alpine was mentioning how this is real. At least I saw it, quoted that it's kind of well, we'll see how he does. Paul Aaron's reserve driver now. Paul Aaron is gonna be an F1 at some point, definitely. So him replacing, I feel like he's gonna go to Alpine, but if he goes straight to Cadillac, that'd be surprising, but not in a bad way. So I like that one. I personally think, no, I don't think this might be a long shot. I feel like they're gonna take Jack Crawford. I do know they want, this isn't official, but what has been rumored that they want is an American and a more experienced driver, well-seasoned driver. And I feel like they might do Jack Crawford, the American in F2, and possibly Franco Colapinto. Franco isn't really experienced, but how Sarah was saying, Checo's gonna bring all these sponsors. Imagine what Franco's gonna do. Franco has the entire Argentinian country behind his back. So I think he's a very popular. I know people are saying Danny's very popular media. He would be great for the kind of not PR, but it'd be a good side of them to have. Franco also would be. Franco's very popular in the media, and he's only been in F1 for half of a season. So imagine what he can do in a full-time seat. But if they want to go more the experienced route, I feel like they might take Kevin Magnussen back, because he's a well-seasoned driver. He would be good mentor. Mentor. You get a lot of penalties, of course, but that can be good. And I would love to see Kevin back. I love Kevin, and I love his penalties. I love his chaos. So those are my predictions.
Pretty good. I feel like it's gonna be really exciting to see, because you can have rookies or drivers from F2 come up, or you can have Bottas or Kevin Magnussen. So it's just
yes,
it's the duality the duality of it is gonna be really, really cool to see. So I'm like
Yeah.
really excited.
You see, we all have different
And, like,
predictions,
driver-
so that's exciting.
Yeah, and driver contracts go up in 2026. Like, there could be a lot of rearranging. Like, obviously, we know based off Checo's, like, these contracts aren't set in stone, so they could definitely change. And like,
Yeah.
a lot of changes happened on the grid this year that we weren't expecting
Yep.
for 2025. So, we definitely gonna be curious to see like what happens.
Yep.
I agree.
Now I want to kind of go into more of the performance part of the Cadillac because because it's a whole new team. They're doing the Ferrari engine at first, so we don't know how they're gonna do. If they're gonna be like a lower field team, midfield. Most likely they're not gonna go right up to the top teams, but you never know. Anything could happen. It's F1. So what do you guys think is gonna happen? How do you guys think they're gonna do their first season first? How do you guys think they're gonna do the first season?
I think the first season, just because obviously, like I said, first season, I feel like it's gonna be a lot of like figuring out what works for them, what doesn't,
Mhm.
what is like their strategy, stuff like that. So I feel like it's gonna be a lot of like almost like guinea pig testing in a way, because it's like, okay, this is our first year. This is kind of the only year we have to like flip up and be like, okay, like that was our first year, guys. Like, sorry. But then after that, they'll figure out like, okay, we can't do that, we can't do this, blah 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 blah. Maybe they'll shock people because, like you said, Gabby, it's F1. You never know what to expect.
Mhm.
But I think maybe they'll shock people, maybe they won't. But I think first year, nothing too crazy, and then as it goes on, I think it's gonna be. I think they'll be good as the years go on, or as the
Yep.
seasons go on.
Mhm.
I agree with Avi. I think they'll start very back of the pack, you know, kind of not really, they'll be fighting to even get close to the points as they figure things out, make mistakes, everything like that. And I think towards the end of the season, they'll end up fighting more midfield as they, like, for at least for a little bit, maybe start fighting for points as they kind of figure things out and like what works best strategy wise and everything like that.
Mhm.
I honestly, I don't think they're gonna be like great. Like they're not gonna be at the top. But I think they're gonna do better than a lot of people are expecting. I don't know why. I just feel like they're gonna have like a couple really good races
Mhm.
where like they're like P5, P6, like up there. Not the whole season, but I feel like they're gonna have a couple races where they kind of shock everybody.
Yeah.
But I definitely think they'll be lower midfield team, at least for the first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like. I'm glad we all have basically like the same brain cell because I feel like we all have similar answers. Because I agree with all you guys. I more believe because so they're taking the Ferrari engine temporarily. I think that specifically like 2026 season and also 2027 season, I think they're gonna be more lower to midfield. Like they're not gonna make like a huge impression, but I'd say they'll get some points. I don't think they're gonna be fighting for podiums per se, but I do believe that they'll get like the points, you know. But I think it's gonna more kind of improve, maybe not significantly, but I think it's gonna improve when they have a couple years in F1. They're more seasoned in it, and then they'll also have their own engine that they've been working on for 2-3 years, maybe even longer. Who knows? Because they're just, it was like said that they're working on their engine, and so they'll take a temporary engine from Ferrari, and then they'll go into their own engine. So I think them building like this engine, taking the time to do that, will, along with them having more experience, will be a good combination. I think they'll have I don't think they're gonna end up being a top team. They're not gonna be fighting with Red Bull or Ferrari or McLaren per se, but I think they will. I kind of want to mirror them to like Haas almost, where they come in, they're just kind of there, but they have a few seasons where they are, they're there, they're doing good, they're having a few races, like Cam said, like a couple races where they're standing out, but then they just kind of are there midfield, not making much of an impression, but they're still fighting for some points. So yeah, I'm glad we all agree on that. And then kind of going into more of the competition, we kind of just basically went over that, but to be more specific, who do we want to predict? Who do you think they're going to be fighting specifically? Like teams, who do we think?
I think they might. I mean, you kind of already said it. I think
Mhm.
they might be there with like Haas, maybe Alpine. It just depends. I feel like they might even have a couple races like Alpine where it's like they're kind of back of the grid, whatever, whatever. They have a good couple races, and like Brazil, they were P2, P3. So I feel like they might have a couple like races where they'll like shock people.
Mhm.
But like with all due respect, I don't think it's gonna be like a consistent kind of thing. Like we're constantly gonna see them on the podium, stuff like
Yep.
that. I think it's just they had a good race. Couple races later, maybe another one. Nothing back to back to back. I don't know. You never know. I think it's just gonna be cool to see
Mhm.
how it plays out.
I agree. I think they'll be kind of in that mix with VCarb, Alpine, and Haas. Like towards the end of their first season, maybe about middle way of their first season, depending on how they're adapting. And I think as they start to figure it out more, you'll see them more competing with like Aston Martin, like where they were in like 2024, kind of in that area, fighting for more upper points, making it into Q3 during qualifying and everything. But then I think when they switch motors, or like from Ferrari, the Ferrari engine to the General Motors engine, they're going to struggle with that switch as they're like learning it, and then as the drivers are then kind of learning it. And like obviously they have the preseason testing, but can't really tell how that'll do in a race.
Mhm.
So I think they'll then fall back a little bit as they're relearning, and then they'll work their way back up again. And I think they'll then get back into kind of that more upper midfield pack rather than the lower.
Yeah, I actually really like that
I
take. That's good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I actually really agree. I'm glad you mentioned like them switching motors because wait, how many years are they keeping a Ferrari motor?
They're gonna have Ferrari
engine,
from
or-
2026 to 2027, so 2 years, and then 2028 is when General Motors will take over permanently.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like, ooh, I feel like that's low-key risky business
It's very true.
because you're gonna be comfortable. You're gonna be building your car like heavily around like your engine and what your engine can do, and then just like pulling that out.
Hmm.
I don't know. I definitely feel like that's gonna cause them to backtrack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I don't know.
it. I feel like, yeah, because I kind of said the opposite. I feel like it genuinely just could go both ways, like 50-50. I don't really think, because it's so, because again, like they'll do preseason testing, they'll have simulators, presumably they will have simulators. They'll probably be like have the reserve drivers, whatever, like their F1 drivers doing it, whatever. Maybe I don't know the whole BTS of their factories, but I'm assuming that they'll be preparing and transitioning heavily, because that's a big deal. Changing engines is a pretty big deal. It doesn't happen like all the time, but it's a big part of it, as you guys were saying, a big part of the car, and that could just change the entire car for the worse or for the better. So yeah, who knows? I kind of already mentioned, yeah, but I just agree with everybody. Like I think that Haas and Alpine specifically are gonna be maybe RB too. I think honestly, like the 2024 season, it was literally a whole tie between like Alpine, Haas, and RB. I just think that it's gonna be Cadillac added to that. I think they won't be the bottom team. I think they'll be like the last
The
three
midfield
teams.
so much more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it was already very interesting this past year with those three teams fighting in the middle, and then obviously throwing in other teams. And then at some points in times you saw Mercedes back there, you saw McLarens, you saw Ferraris, you saw Red Bulls back there. So obviously we don't know what the top team's going to be in a couple years, but the midfield's bound to be interesting if you have at least four teams battling it out.
Yeah, midfield battles are some of like my favorite things to watch, and that's just going to make it even better than it already is. So I'm very excited.
I agree.
Well, that actually concludes the podcast. We just had our predictions. We'll see how they do. We did this a little early, but we just had a sacred claim, of course. So we will see in 2026 if our predictions come true. Thank you for listening or watching. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Say bye.
Bye.